Hey, it's Mr. Keys, and today we're going to talk about the chords in C major. You might be thinking, wait a sec, isn't C major a chord? Yep, C major is definitely a chord, but it's also a key. In case you forgot the notes that are in the key of C major, you can watch this video for the details on how we form that scale. So, what's the big deal with chords? If we use a sandwich as a metaphor for music, you can think of chords as the meat of your beat. If you're a vegetarian, then you can think of it as the most important vegetable that makes your sandwich. This is probably not a perfect metaphor, but it's not horrible either. We can think of drums as the buns or the bread. Bass lines are also very important, and you can think of them as the sauce or butter or condiments. They're really nice to have, but not completely important. Melody lines are non-essential toppings like cheese that really make the sandwich delicious. For this series of lessons, we'll focus on chords, or the meat. Let's take another look at the chords that are in the key of C major. We have C, D, E, F, G, A, and B, and then it continues, etc. A chord in music consists of 3 or more distinct notes. If I were to play middle C, this C, and this C, that would not form a chord since, according to the definition, these are not 3 distinct notes. They're all the same, they're just at different pitches. If I were to play C, D, and G, then that would be a chord since all the 3 notes are different. Chords that have exactly 3 distinct notes are called triads. In order to find the chords in the key of C major, we need to use the scale. There are 7 distinct notes in the scale. And that means the key of C major also has 7 distinct chords. We can find the first chord by starting on the first note of the scale, C. From here, we keep the first note, we skip the next note of the scale, which is D, and then we keep the next note, E. We skip the next note, which is F, and we keep the next note, G. So that's our first chord. Let's do that again. We keep C, skip D, keep E, skip F, and keep G. Keep, skip, keep, skip, keep. This chord is called C major, and it has the notes C, E, and G. Major chords tend to sound happy or uplifting, which means that there are also other chords that do not sound happy or uplifting. Also, we're going to play all of our chords in a position called root position. This is where the letter name of the chord is always the bottom note of the chord. In this case, the bottom note of the chord is C. Let's look at the second chord. The second chord starts on the second note of the scale, D. So, keep D, skip E, keep F, skip G, and keep A. This chord has the notes D, F, and A. This chord is called D minor, and we're playing it in root position as well. Notice how D is at the bottom. Minor chords tend to sound sad, dark, or intense. The third chord starts on E. Keep, skip, keep, skip, keep. The notes are E, G, and B, and this chord is called E minor. 4 more chords to go. Now we can do the keep, skip, keep, skip, keep, skip thing for the 4th chord. Or we can just move all of our fingers down 1 note to get F, A, and C. This chord is called F major. The 5th chord is G, B, and D, and it is called G major. The 6th chord is A, C, and E, and it's called A minor. And the last chord, or the 7th chord, this is a special one. The notes are B, D, and F, and it's called B diminished. There's one more thing that we have to talk about when it comes to these chords. We need to give each of these chords numbers. This will be important later on because chords will be referred to by their numeric value, sometimes, and also sometimes I'll be calling them by their actual chord name. So the first chord is C major, which is C, E, G, and we call it the 1 chord. We use Roman numerals to number them as opposed to numbers that we're actually used to. Uppercase Roman numerals are used for major chords, while lowercase Roman numerals are used for minor and diminished chords. The second chord is DFA, or D minor, and we call it the 2 chord. Remember, it's lowercase since it's minor. EGB, or E minor, is called the 3 chord. F major is called the 4 chord. G major is called the 5 chord. A minor is called the 6 chord. And finally, B diminished is called the 7 chord. The little circle, or degree sign, tells us that the chord is of the diminished type. These chords will form the building blocks to how we play piano and produce music. Your job is to learn these chords well, both by playing them, but also remembering the notes that form them.